Hello, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that might be a little uncomfortable for some people, but it's this fear of being different. And sometimes you don't even realize that is where your fear is coming from. But I think so many of us, especially as leaders, have this overarching fear of needing to fit in, make people like us. And me personally, as a business owner, I never really thought I had this fear. I always embraced being different and I liked being different, carving my own path. But for me, I started my business and suddenly there's this fear of like, you have to get people to like you or how are they going to buy from you? So I was finding myself fitting these molds of trying to be what I thought people wanted me to be. And the more that I leaned into that, the more I felt like an imposter. Because from what I know now is imposter syndrome comes from not being yourself. You feel like an imposter because you're not being yourself. And this has taken me so long to break away and actually embrace having that fear of being different is a good thing. I think no matter what, some level of fear is a good thing because when there is some fear, it means that you care. We obviously all care about being liked, but you fear something going bad because you care so much and you want it to go well. So I want to talk about being different and the importance of being different. And this comes up in so many flavors. For me personally, it's a lot looking back on those things that made me uncomfortable, that I resisted doing, in finding the root of why I was uncomfortable. And for me, a lot of that came back to feeling I had to do what everyone else was doing. How could I be successful if I didn't have that multi-step funnel? How could I be successful if I wasn't constantly showing up on social media? How could I be successful if I didn't put a new offer out and have a huge launch plan? Those are the ways we're taught to be successful. And yes, you can be successful in those ways. By no means. I mean, a lot of that is important to have some of it. You need to be visible somehow. But for me, it was embracing this path of doing it differently, having that rebel edge. And that's a lot about why I love Rebel to Rise, is because I want you to rebel against these things that you don't really want to be doing so that you could rise into the person that you're meant to be. And coming back to this fear of being different, it's a lot of those things that we are subconsciously doing because we want to be loved, liked, and fit in so we survive. I mean, all humans want to survive and we need other humans to do that. So we try to fit into this mold of what we think people want from us. But this has been a huge challenge, especially when I started my business, of being myself and doing what actually brought me joy. And we could break it down to like little things. I mean, as long as I've remembered, I don't really have goals. And initially, that might sound, what do you mean you don't have goals? I always tied that back to, well, I don't have goals. That means I have no ambition in life. I don't have goals, so people aren't going to take me seriously. That question in interviews, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I have no clue, but you make up something because that's what they asked. And again, it's not that I don't have a clue or I don't have goals. It's more of an overarching feeling that I have. It's this feeling, I have this vision. And it's not necessarily, I could pinpoint it like, okay, my goal is 3 years from now making multi-millions. Yeah, that would be great. But my mind just does not work with goals like that. I could be very specific on how I want to feel, what I envision, but it's not concrete goals because it's a little too restrictive for how my energy works. And accepting that and realizing I don't do goals has kind of released this shame and just embraced it. Like, who cares? I like being different. Let's just roll with it. And that's one of the things that makes me different. You could also tie back to being different in how you market yourself. I have talked about, I see a purpose in social media, but I absolutely hate how you have to show up every day or you're kind of forgotten. Your content's not shown. It's 24 hours and then that piece of content you put so much work into is gone. I don't enjoy that. My energy doesn't enjoy it. So I chose to be different and say, I'll show up on social media when I am inspired, and that's going to be good enough. And there's a lot of coaches that have told me, no, that's not what you should be doing. You need to show up. That is how you are successful. The more visible you are, the more successful you are. And I'm like, nah, I don't believe that. And so it's actually embracing that and doing it differently. For me, I have a podcast. I have a blog. There's a million ways for people to find me. I go to in-person networking events. I make an effort to make deep connections with people, and that is how I'm visible. And that works for me. It might not work for you. Okay. But it's embracing being different and not just doing what everyone else is doing. And the tool I use, as you know, is human design to understand what makes me different. What are those specific things that make me a powerful person, that differentiate me, and then embracing those, showing up as my authentic self and not repressing those parts of me. Because, yeah, I think all of us could say there's certain things or beliefs or ways you live your life that other people won't agree with. But I say, well, then maybe those people aren't for you. The way I approach it is that I want to show up as me and who I am, because I really believe I cannot be the only one feeling this way. I cannot be the only one that absolutely hates the type of marketing that just doesn't tell you what they're selling. They use a bunch of fancy words and then you kind of think about it, it's like, wait, I feel tricked. I don't like it. I'm going to directly tell you, this is my product. Buy from me. Don't buy from me. I'm not going to try to make it a game of fancy words and whatnot. This is just it. And knowing that and embracing that has allowed me to excel so much more in my business. Understanding that my energy just needs to be deep, bold, and authentic, and that's all I need to do to show up as myself is extremely powerful. And yes, it's terrifying to be different. No diss to anyone. You do you. But when I go to a networking event, the typical I help statements, it's like the same thing. You go around the table, I'm hearing the same thing over and over. And by the time they get to me, it's like, I want to say something different. And I know it's probably not what you expect me to say, but I want to be different in that way because people are going to remember me for that. Not just saying, I help CEOs, business owners, and blah, blah, blah. It's me saying, I help you become your most authentic self and lead a business from a deep place of satisfaction and enjoyment, where you feel joy and turn on every morning because you're so excited for the work that you're doing. Like, people are going to remember that versus just the blanket statement. And knowing that I need to be different and that's how I thrive is what really released me from this pressure of constantly trying to perform. I think that's probably a really good word for it, is when we're not being ourselves, we're trying to just perform. We're trying to entertain, in a sense. You're showing up on stage and trying to make everyone laugh, but they're not laughing because you're not speaking from your heart and you're not being you. You're trying to be someone else. And if you're not a comedian, that's going to be really difficult to get people to laugh on stage. So that was a bit of a tangent, but it's more of stop performing. Just show up as you, because subconsciously I feel people's energy. And I think we all feel people's energy, just not me. It's not like a special power. But when you show up into a room, there's just kind of this energy. And I think it's very powerful in like networking events where we're all there for a specific reason. There's a specific reason we showed up to that event. I could feel the energies of those people. You could start talking to someone, you could instantly know, like, okay, they're just trying to sell me, like, okay, and you kind of go through the spiel, listen to them. I have some interest, but you kind of just know they're trying to sell you something that you probably have no interest in. Or you talk to someone else who's just genuinely excited to be there, meet you, learn what you do, and that's someone you feel you want to keep talking to. And for me, I show up to networking events because I just literally love meeting people. Yeah, if I connect with someone, they want to work with me, great, but that's not the reason I go. I literally just want to connect and meet new people and have a great time, be present and experience the moment. And yes, that is different. A lot of people go to networking events for a very specific reason, but I've accepted. I'm different. I don't really feel, I'm not, my energy does not want to sell you. I don't want to go to a networking event and just for the sole purpose of selling. My energy doesn't like that. I personally feel gross doing that. And again, you do you. But I just don't feel confident in doing that and accepting it. That's just me. Great. I'll find a different way. Because I found it's more powerful for me to just show up, be me, actually be genuinely interested in you, in what you have to say, what your business is about, what you're going through, and being present and listening to you. I connect with people so much more. They're going to remember me for Erin being that one that really listened to me, saw me. And then they could refer me in this, that, and the other. And that might bring me sales. But I feel more powerful just being me, just showing up however my energy wants to show up. And yes, that is radically different. I mean, even though I'm here talking to you, creating this, obviously I want to make money. Like, please work with me because I'm amazing. I know that. And yes, that's partly why I do this. But honestly, I just want to share my knowledge, show you that there is a different way to lead. We don't all have to be the same. I read the newspaper. Like, I literally get the newspaper delivered to my house, and I have a physical copy of the newspaper. It just brings me so much joy, like the smell and all of it. It's the Wall Street Journal, and I love the business section because they give you so many amazing things that companies are doing. And I was reading about how there's a big push instead of unions. A lot of companies are selling the company to the employees. It's kind of like stock, but like each employee has a stake in the company. And there's a lot of steps and hurdles and pros, cons to that. But the sole fact that a company does that means that each employee has a stake in the company and they're going to want to show up. They're going to want to have investment and want the company to succeed. And so when they're able to put the power into the employees, take it out of the top of just management, it makes everyone want to show up and do a better job. And this is a radically different idea. I mean, we talk about unions, we talk about top leadership, and reimagining how a company can be run is pretty powerful. And these companies, they still do have tiers of management, but it evens the playing fields. And being confident and willing to experiment with that, I think is like an awesome idea. Because again, putting power back into the people's hands, putting it back into the people that are actually doing the work is a really interesting way to think about leadership. And I thought about this multiple times because I read this like a month ago, but how cool would it be if people were able to embrace their different ideas, their somewhat radical ideas, and actually move forward with them. Be willing to experiment and just see what happens instead of just being too nervous. Like, well, I haven't seen someone run a business like this. What would people think? What if I fail? What if everyone hates me? Like, whatever these thoughts are. If we drop that fear and just embraced what makes us different, this different idea, I think it'd be fascinating how much more diversity there would be in companies, how there could be more maybe work-life balance. Maybe there would be this idea of the more that we rest and care for ourselves, that we could show up to work and have a greater output because we've cared for ourselves and we're not working 12-hour days. Like, there's just so many things I think about. And I think it's really powerful to acknowledge that there is a different way to do things. And the more that we're able to stop being fearful of being different, the more powerful we be. And again, I want to talk about this because I think it's a chain reaction. I want to put this idea in your head, embracing the fear of being different, doing those things that make you different without worry of what other people will think. Because I think as leaders, people look up to us and we already have those eyes on us. So why don't we model a different way of leading? Why don't we run with that crazy idea? And because guess what? Maybe it's not as crazy as you think. You've just created this story in your head. So I just want to talk about that a little bit today. The power of embracing what makes us different. Knowing that what makes us different is what makes us powerful. And the more that we could break the mold, the more that we could just be ourselves and do what we want to be doing, you could be wildly successful doing that. Like, one of my secret goals in life is how different can I be to prove everyone that my way works? Like, I mean, it's kind of an ego thing, but it's like, I deeply know you could be successful however the hell you want. And I want you to know that too. It doesn't matter if your idea has never been done before. It doesn't matter what other people think. There'll always be people to criticize and make comments, but guess what? They're usually just judgmental because you stood up and decided to do something and they're too afraid to do that. I mean, it always comes back to you. What is there? I don't know, 8 billion people in the world. That means there's 8 billion different realities. And your reality is the only one that matters. Who cares what other people think, as long as you're happy and knowing that you're being yourself, showing up as you, and that is what's going to make the difference. The more you could be, the more you're going to make an impact. People will naturally be drawn to you and want to be around you. So that is what I want to leave with you today. I want you to embrace those differences. What is that one thing you've been fearing doing? And truly, what's so scary about it? Just try it. If it fails, you move on. But at least you tried. There's always fear. It's always going to be scary. But embrace being different. What's so bad about being different? What is so bad? So yeah, I want to leave that with you today. What is something you've been afraid to do? And maybe take a little step towards being different, doing that different thing, and allow yourself to be different, because I truly believe the more that we can embrace who we are and what makes us different, the more powerful we're going to be, the more we're going to be able to rise into our greatness. So thank you again for listening. If this inspired you, please share it with someone else you think might want to hear it too. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, do all the things, and don't be afraid to DM me and share your thoughts. I love hearing from you guys and what you take away from these episodes, so never stop sharing. Until next time, keep rebelling, keep rising.